it's happening. We have a major crypto catalyst which most people are completely sleeping on. I'm going to break down exactly what has happened here on a Saturday, which completely changes the game for crypto and why many people are not understanding it. If you like this type of update, smash up likes. Do not forget to subscribe. You can see Bitcoin here hovering flat here on the weekend, but that does not tell you the story of this weekly candle. This is a big weekly candle for Bitcoin, but before we get into the technical analysis, I'm going to give you the data on this, which has just completely changed the game. MicroStrategy to enter the NASDAQ 100. Now, why is this a big deal? I hear a lot of you asking. I'm going to explain exactly why this is a big deal. But first, we need to understand one of the big thesis behind crypto, Bitcoin specifically, and how the price of Bitcoin can move. If you guys have been following my content for a while, 2 years ago, I posted this video, Buy $1 of Bitcoin 2023 edition, right? It was based off of that viral video where the guy made a video years ago saying buy some Bitcoin. But I put it as the 2023 edition because I wanted to say, hang on, is it still too late? And of course, in this video, I broke down my thesis, my personal thesis of why I want to be invested in crypto. And in the video, if you go through and watch it, I highly recommend you guys do. I break down different asset classes like you can see on screen, and I share how small crypto is relatively to that. Back then, crypto was sitting at $2.3 trillion in market cap, and equities were sitting at $122 trillion, right? You just look at the infographic, you just can't compare it. And in the video, I articulate my thesis that for Bitcoin to go up, it doesn't need Bitcoin to be the de facto winner. It doesn't need everybody in the world to say, oh my God, Bitcoin is amazing. I'm going to get rid of all my fiat currency and enter Bitcoin. No, that's not the thesis for Bitcoin to head towards, $500,000, even $1 million. It doesn't need everybody to believe in crypto. Like I'm saying here, look how big the market is for equities. And in this video, I also go through real estate. I go through how much money there is tied up in bonds, how much money there is tied up in all these other asset classes, right? And then you look at how much is in gold and silver and etc. And the thesis just has to be that simple. What if people just put a little bit into Bitcoin? What if, and I always use this as my example, which I share with people who don't know much about Bitcoin, or don't understand how the price and the supply and demand can go up. What if, given that the supply of Bitcoin is fixed at 21 million Bitcoins, and we know a bunch has been lost, so there's probably about 18 to 17 million actually circulating, a bunch of that are in people's hands like mine who are just not selling at any price, we just want to hold it for many generations, right, and hand it down. How are you going to get access to this? What if every single millionaire, or even just wealthy person, woke up and decided they want a little bit of Bitcoin again? Not because they think this is some amazing asset class, not because they really want to go all in on it. No, just they ring up their banker, they ring up their wealth advisor, they ring up their, their CFO of their company, and they say, you know what? We need a little bit of this thing called Bitcoin. Can you go and deploy 1%, 2%, 3%, up to 5% maybe of our cash to give us some exposure to Bitcoin? Because since 2008, I've been hearing about this asset class. I didn't get in. I need to get in now. And that's the thesis. If that starts to happen, you will see Bitcoin really, really start to grow away from the $3 trillion, right? If we jump into the market cap today, you're looking at $3.61 trillion in market cap. We've had a nice little move up here as Bitcoin's got to 101, 102,000. That's great. But imagine, size of equities, 122 trillion, right? That leaves another 30x here on the table for Bitcoin. That is your 30x, guys. That gets Bitcoin to a very, very big size. And again, maybe it will never get to the size of equities. That's okay. But many people are investing for Bitcoin to get to 250, 500,000, 1 million, right? It's very, very possible. A 10x from here gets Bitcoin to $10 million. That is a $36 trillion market cap. $36 trillion, like I'm showing you here on screen, is about 1/4 to 1/3 of the amount of money tied up in equities. Again, look at the thesis. Not everybody needs to go and believe in it. What if they just want to diversify into Bitcoin? What if people who don't even care about Bitcoin just go put 5%, put 6% because I keep getting it wrong and Bitcoin keeps proving me wrong? And that brings me back a full loop to this, which is now fundamental news, that MicroStrategy has now entered the NASDAQ 100. For those who aren't familiar, the NASDAQ is the group of the biggest 100 tech companies in the US. They are now as you can see here, been announced by the NASDAQ in their reshuffling that it will include MicroStrategy. We know MicroStrategy is a predominantly Bitcoin company. If you're investing in MicroStrategy, it's just correlated to Bitcoin. They hold Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and that's how the price of MicroStrategy, the stock, moves in correlation to Bitcoin. It's a Bitcoin play. A recent check showed MicroStrategy would be the 40th largest company in the NASDAQ 100, which means they're part of the QQQ, very popular ETF, with more than $300 billion in assets under management. Let me try to explain this. People who buy the NASDAQ do not believe in every single stock in the NASDAQ, for those who aren't familiar in stock investing, right? When you invest in an ETF, whether it's the S&P ETF, the SPY, or the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ, you do it as like a diversification play or a bet on the top companies in the US, right? So you just buy the ETF. Most retail investors in the world, most institutionals as well, and mutual funds, they buy ETFs. They don't have time or the ability sometimes to pick individual stocks. They just want exposure to the growing market. Therefore, they jump into the S&P, they jump into the NASDAQ. This means you're going to have a bunch of people getting exposure to MicroStrategy, which is the MSTR stock, which in turn is exposure to Bitcoin, because the more MSTR grows, the more Bitcoin they grow, right? MicroStrategy, one of the biggest holders of Bitcoin on the planet, which is a win for the underlying spot price of Bitcoin. More and more people will be getting exposure to Bitcoin, even though directly they would never have opened an exchange, they would have never gone and actually bought some Bitcoin themselves. So this is completely game-changing, a game-changing an announcement by the NASDAQ, because it plays out the thesis which I was sharing 2 years ago, and I had it in my head for longer than that Bitcoin doesn't need everybody to believe in it. It just needs to be one of the options, right? It's like, for example, gold. It's not that you completely believe in gold, but maybe you hold a little bit of gold, right? You just want to hold some because you don't want to be that fool that has everything in cash. Maybe you don't believe in real estate, but maybe you have a property or two to diversify some of your earnings as you increase your net worth, right? Same thing applies for crypto. And now that it's on NASDAQ, this is a big move, because people are going to start scooping up MSTR without even knowing it, and they're getting exposure to Bitcoin. This is a big play here, and I think it's fallen under the radar a little bit today. So big news here for Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. Shout out to Michael Saylor. Now, let's talk about this weekly candle, because I hear a lot of people umming and ahhing about, what's going on here with the Bitcoin price. First and foremost, you can see a doji candle, right? We still got 1 day left to play here on this candle, but it is a doji candle, right? You can't say otherwise. That is a doji candle you're looking at. And a doji candle, if you've taken my TA course, ijazcrypto.com/TA for technical analysis, check it out. In that TA course, you'll know that a doji candle represents indecision. Normally, it indicates a reversal in the market. But like I always say, you need to understand, how is this candle playing out? What is the story behind this candle? And we're going to go through it. Look at the story from this week, guys. We opened up on a Monday, right? You can see that, with a horrible day for Bitcoin, down 3.8%. So we started off the week horribly red. We followed that up with another day in the red on Tuesday, down 0.68%, recovered on a Wednesday with 4.7% positive, slight red day again, and green again. So when you amalgamate that into one candle, what that one candle is telling us is that the bears came out hot to start the week, the bulls recovered the price, the bears tried to slap us back again, and the bulls recovered again. But all in all, across that week, we still are slightly up on Bitcoin. So this gives you a real indication of the bullish intent in this market. Of course, Monday was a liquidity grab. We could get more liquidity grabs, and you guys should be aware of that and prepared for that, because you can get big days here where you're flushing to the downside. I mean, if you look at this weekly candle, we're flat on the week. But if you were involved in that Monday crash, right, the big Monday there where you're down 3.8%, that hurt. Right, that 3.8% hurts if you've got a liquidation level and you get liquidated. That contributes to all the liquidity being grabbed. Now, if you look at the liquidation levels, there's a bunch of liquidity sat around 96. I wouldn't rule out, a liquidity grab there, but you've got a bit of a cluster up here. You've got a bunch of cluster around the 102.7 mark. Maybe market makers are going to want to grab a bit more liquidity up, wait for some more liquidity to build up below, and then send the price back down to grab that. So my gut feeling is we may have a little bit of more upward momentum here to start the week. Of course, it's a big FOMC week, so we need to watch out for that. Will Jerome Powell cut interest rates? The market is expecting we will get a 25 basis point rate cut in 4 days' time on December the 18th. I will be covering that here on this channel, so if you like that type of content, then make sure you're subscribed, and we will cover off the FOMC meeting and what impact that has on crypto. So lots going on, right? It's a big candlestick here, which is great. But what I do want to show you is that we are in a bit of a wedge here. If I jump down to the 4-hourly chart, you can see that Bitcoin has slowed down its ascension. I mean, of course, from this level from 68, we really did sprint all the way up to about 89. We then kind of struggled for a bit. Off we went up towards the 99 mark, struggled at 100 for a bit. We consolidated, went and touched 104, which is great, fell back down, and now we're just chilling. We're in the range of this pattern, but it's still an upward pattern. So be very, very careful of this pattern. Of course, if we do lose support, then we can get worried that, okay, maybe this wants to go for a wider pullback. But right now, it is showing strength. And I think one of the important things with crypto, just having been through previous cycles before, is you don't want to be a maximalist, right? Don't be this extremist in crypto where it's like, oh, no, the market's always going to be red. Oh, no, market's always going to be green. The answer is you've got to be fluid in the situation, right? You've got to be prepared that when the market turns, you don't get stuck with the music on, right? You understand that, this market can dump and can pull back and have a proper correction. But equally, when there's time to be making money, you got to be in the money. You got to be in the market to make money. You can't, scared money doesn't make money. So if you guys actively want to trade, join me in Telegram, ijazcrypto.com/TG. I'll share every single trade with you that I'm taking. Maybe that'll be useful for you guys to learn, to see the patterns that I'm trading, how I do my stop loss, how I do my take profit. Because sometimes just watching somebody else trade that has been trading for a long time becomes quite helpful for you. So if you're interested in that, check that out. Link is in the description. So, I'm not going to rule out a pullback here. Like I've said, since we broke our previous all-time high, which happened here, we broke this all-time high, we've not had a pullback. This is insane by Bitcoin. This is basically vertical. Then we've been consolidating while still going up. So at some point, this needs a healthy pullback. I don't mind if it wants to come back down to some of these levels around 86, 87. I'll be looking to buy the dip of those points on some of my favorite positions. But at the same time, I can't sit here just being a bear for no reason, right? When we lose some more critical support here, like the pattern I just shared with you, or even bringing out the EMA ribbon when we start testing this EMA ribbon or trying to lose the EMA ribbon, remember, this EMA ribbon goes all the way down to 88. So it's perfectly normal for Bitcoin to want to use this, right? In the great scheme of things, if you zoom out, if it wanted to use that before then sprinting upwards to the upside, there's nothing wrong with that. So there's plenty of room here for Bitcoin to work and stay bullish. I don't flip, sideways to bearish until we lose this daily EMA ribbon, which is all the way down to 88. So the bears have a lot of work to do here to break the momentum. And if I was a bear, which I'm not, what I would be looking first and foremost to do is to lose this 4-hourly EMA ribbon, break down from this channel, right? They've got to break down from this channel, so they've got to do something like this. And then maybe I start going, okay, the bears are serious now. Maybe they really want to test the resolve of the bulls and push us deeply into our EMA ribbon. But again, let's wait for it to happen. There's no point being bearish and scared now when the market is still showing good signs of momentum to the upside. So hopefully you guys found this useful. If you like this type of content, smash all the likes. Do not forget to subscribe. If you want to see me actively trade, you will find that in the Telegram group, ijazcrypto.com/TG. For over a year, I've been sharing every single trade I take. Nothing to hide. I'm a trader first. I make YouTube videos second to help you guys navigate this crazy crypto space. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.